Hey guys, Viking Reefing here. One question I get asked over and over again. There we go. Okay. So, one of the questions I get asked over and over again is, how do I keep angelfish in a reef tank? It's kind of funny that I constantly get asked this question because I do have at least 2 videos on the subject matter. But this video will be specifically aimed at angelfish and not just kind of risky fish in general. So if I get asked about this subject again, I can just refer to this video. I'm currently keeping 5 species of angelfish in this tank. Ouch! I have a regal angel, a emperor angel. Alrighty, dude. A annularis angel, a blueface, and a goldflake angel. So a fair amount of angels for a tank this size. And as you can see, I still keep LPS in the form of torches. I do have a bunch of acroporas in here. They're obviously not dead, so what gives? The prevailing idea in the hobby is that angelfish simply can't be kept with corals. Like most things, this is, again, just uninformed dogma, perpetrated by people who hasn't actually tried this themselves, or at least haven't given it the proper parameters to succeed. So let's go over what those are in this video. I think it comes down to a few factors: feeding, coral selection, tank size, and one last thing that you might not have thought about, flow. So let's go over these 4 things in turn. And if you're wondering why my lighting kind of looks weird, you can see here, it kind of looks different from the other side. I'm conducting a little bit of an experiment here. So the Geeseman auroras, they have a like a frosted plastic over the light bars on the sides. So I tried. Okay, so that was my cat knocking on the freaking tripod. So I tried removing those on one side and replacing them with clear acrylic to see if there's any noticeable difference. I've had these things now for about, I think it's 3 weeks or something, not really seeing a huge difference. The one thing I'm seeing as of yet is slightly better shimmer on this side. But the actual aesthetics of the actual light fixture looks worse, so I'm not sure if this is a good trade-off or not. But I'll keep you posted. So let's get into it. So one of the most important factors in making this work is probably feeding. And for this video, I'm going to try something new. I've never tried these. Let's see if we can get it to focus. Come on. These marine grazers from Vitalis. What I don't like about them was that you use the little suction cup, and that means you have to stick your hand into the tank constantly. But I figured I can just use this little clamp on my 2 little fishies algae feeder. So let's see if they like this. This is kind of interesting. Well, this certainly got scared. I guess they've never seen this feeder before, but let's see if they go for it. But yeah, in terms of feeding, I find that satiated fish really won't go after your corals. There are a couple of different kinds of, say, risky fish with corals. They are obligate corallivores, which means that their food mainly consists of corals. Or at least a very large part of it is made out by coral. There are also facultative corallivores, and that's probably the camp where angelfish would fall into. A facultative corallivore is a fish that will eat corals if given a chance, but they can also feed on other stuff. And in terms of angelfish, I would even be hard-pressed to call them a faculty corallivore, since corals aren't really a main part of their diet whatsoever. I mean, they mainly feed on like sponges and algae and stuff like that, little crustaceans in the wild. And feeding on corals is kind of, I wouldn't really say a last resort, but I find that they mostly feed on corals if they are very hungry. So if you don't feed them enough, they will find food in your tank. And yeah, if there's no algae and stuff to snack on, they will definitely go for corals. Probably the Oh, and apparently they will also go for a marine grazer after being scared shitless for a while at least. Huh. Well, that's good to know. So feeding is hugely important if you want to try and keep angelfish with your corals. I feed my tank 4 times daily with an auto feeder. I usually put in a sheet of nori every day as well. And I feed about 4 to 5 cubes of frozen mysis shrimp in evenings. I can definitely see that there's more picking going on. If I've been slacking on feeding, or for example, if my auto feeder runs out, they will definitely start feeding more on my acros. One very good example of this is that I went for a vacation to Italy a couple of years ago, and during that time I forgot to refill the auto feeder before I took off. Well, when I got home, they had done some half significant amount of damage on some of my acros. And that was just strictly my fault. That had never happened before, but they were so hungry that they actually started looking for alternative food sources, so to speak. So, as long as you keep your angelfish well fed, I don't really see a huge issue with keeping them with Acropora and some LPS. And just in general, in terms of feeding, you should really be feeding all fish at least 3 or 4 times a day anyways. Most fish, apart from like predators, are really built to be fed multiple times a day because that's how they feed in the wild. So keep that in mind just for general reef keeping purposes. Oh, okay, so might have been a failure to use that clamp because it sort of broke the damn thing. Huh. Might have to look into some sort of an alternative. But this brings us into choosing the right kinds of corals if you want to keep angelfish in a reef tank. So what I find is that Acropora always do fine with angelfish, provided that they're well fed. I've never, in over 2 decades of reef keeping, had any issues with Acropora whatsoever. A little caveat to that is that if you, for some reason, were throwing the amount of angelfish that I have in a tank, populated mostly with small frags, say that you have 10 small acro frags, just tiny little sticks like your pinky finger or something, yeah, they would probably kill those frags rather quickly. Not because they will just strip them of tissue or anything like that, but mostly due to stress. So if you want to keep angelfish in a reef tank, I would advise you to keep them with fairly mature colonies. As you can see, most of my aqua colonies are fairly large at least. If we then move into LPS and softies, I've never had any issues keeping them with torches or frog spawn either. I guess they're not that tasty. They're kind of stingy, so I guess they're bitter tasting or something. So never had an issue with those. Cataphilias also tend to do well with angelfish. Again, they have quite a potent sting, so those are also a good candidate. And Gonioporas is another genus of corals which I really haven't had any issues keeping with angelfish. I've had a couple of angelfish just like picking at them a couple of times, but there's never been any long-term issues with that. So they've mostly stopped after having a taste or two. What you really want to avoid keeping with these guys are very fleshy LPS that doesn't really have a good sting. So micromusas, for example, those are basically candy to angelfish. The same thing goes with Acanthophilias. Trachees is another poor option. I actually have a buddy who has a gold flake angel and a fairly large imperator, and he keeps a fair amount of lobos with them. So lobos might be a good idea. I haven't tried it for a fairly long time. I know that I kept some lobophilias with angelfish, say 15 years ago or something, but I haven't had any recent experience with it, so I would be hesitant to say that that's a go. In terms of soft corals, most leather corals, like sarcophytons, singularias and stuff like that, will do fine. Psoas, I find, is kind of hit and miss. I'd say that there's probably a higher risk of failure than there's a possibility of success with psoas. But you can definitely try it. It's not doomed to fail whatsoever. The next bit would be tank size, and it also kind of ties into flow. But I find that giving your angelfish ample space will also, well, both reduce aggression between the angels, but it will also lessen the amount of picking going on. I can't say for certain, but I feel that they're not as bored in a big tank, and since there's more stuff to do, they won't be as inclined to just getting destructive and doing stuff. It might also have something to do with, in a big tank you can generally keep more fish, and that will keep the angelfish preoccupied with the other tank inhabitants. So if you want to try keep a large angelfish, well, you should really keep that thing in a large tank regardless. But I'd say that you should probably go no smaller than 500 or 600 liters if you're looking for long-term success. And lastly, we are going to be covering flow. So I feel that flow is quite important as well, and that probably has something to do with giving them something to spend their days doing. So high flow, I find, keep them occupied as well, and that seems to inhibit some bad behavior. I can generally see if I turn my pumps down or I turn them off for whatever reason. I will also see a slight increase in the amount of picking that they do on the acros. Oh, and one bonus tip that I actually thought of while talking about this is that it seems like keeping multiple angels will also help. That might sound counterintuitive because angelfish can pick on corals, and the more angels that you keep, the more possibility of them actually going for corals there should be. But there's always some form of aggression between angelfish, or at least some territorial behavior. So if you keep multiples, they will also be kind of preoccupied with each other and like checking each other out and just chasing each other away from their spot in the tank and stuff. So that might also be something to look into. So that's actually it for this video. So just to summarize, feeding is crucial. You really need to keep them well fed, which means multiple feedings a day. And if you go like, oh, my phosphates and nitrates will get too high if I do that, well, get better filtration. Simply put, it's just a matter of import and export. So feed them a lot and keep them busy feeding. Coral selections, you will be somewhat limited to the kinds of corals that you keep if you really want to keep big angelfish in a reef setting. Acroporas are the very best option, as well as leather corals and some LPS. You need a large tank, so they're not really just boxed in with a bunch of corals, and the only thing they can spend their days on is picking at the corals. Higher flow is also important because it seems to keep them occupied. With all this being said, I see any sort of negative effects in my tank. Well, yes, I can honestly say that I do see some negative effects. If you've been following me for some time, you know that I have had the issue with velvet during the summer, and I lost a bunch of my favorite fish. A lot of those fish were fish that could peck at like the acros and stuff. And I did see an improvement in polyp extension during the day when I had less angels in the tank, and when I introduced the 3 new ones here, the Angelfish, the blueface, and then Broader, I could see that I got some decrease in polyp extension during the day. Basically, that's the only negative effect that I can see. But that's completely normal. If you go snorkeling or diving on the Great Barrier Reef or a reef in Fiji, you'll mostly see that polyps are attracted on all stony corals during the day, since, well, there's stuff picking at corals in the wild as well. If I go here with a flashlight during the night, I can see huge amounts of polyp extension. And just to give you an example, for this bonsai here, for example, I mean, you do have some decent amount of polyp extension on it. I mean, it's not completely sucked in whatsoever. Same thing here with this red planet. There's polyps poking out here as well. I mean, they're not like completely retracted, so yeah, I wouldn't say that it's a huge issue. On this Bali green slimer, it used to be really fuzzy. This is kind of retracted actually. So yeah, different corals will also react differently. I hope you found this video interesting, and I bet that there's people in the comments or you read online and stuff that says that, oh, you still can't keep angelfish. I put one in and it destroyed my tank. Well, you somehow screwed up. I've been keeping angelfish with these kinds of corals for ages, and I've never had an issue. And it's not 1 or 2 angelfish. I've had heaps of different angelfish over the years, and it's never been an issue. And I don't possess any sort of magical skills that can just make him not kill my corals. So if I can do this, everyone can do it. So yeah, if you're feeling brave enough and you trust me, give it a go. If you follow these tips, I'm sure you'll have a great time. I actually have a couple of exciting stuff happening now in terms of reefing for the coming weeks. So I'm recording this on a Friday. I'll hopefully upload it tomorrow on Saturday. And on Sunday, I'm actually helping a friend of mine break down his tank. It's very sad. If you've seen the video I did with Svempa, the guy that has a 4-year-old reef tank, we're actually going there on Sunday, me and a bunch of buddies, helping him break it down. Svempa is, I believe, he's 85 now, and he has started developing some health issues. So yeah, he made the very hard call that, yeah, it's probably time to call it quits on at least the very big tank that he has. So that freaking sucks. The one silver lining is that I will be rehoming some of his favorite fish to my tank and a couple of buddies and a couple of my friends' tanks. So what I think that I'll be bringing to this tank is a Similar Waters butterfly, a pearl scale butterfly, and 2 pyramid butterflies at least, and we'll see what else he has going on I could potentially put in here. The weekend after this one, me and my family are actually flying out to the Seychelles. So that's going to be freaking awesome. I've never been before, so I bet that there's going to be a heck of a lot of cool diving opportunities. Probably see some gem tanks, possibly. Going fishing for great trevally as well, if I can manage it. So yeah, that's going to be fun, but it's always stressful to leave my tank. Luckily, I have a couple of very good buddies close by that will keep an eye on this tank. And I have a webcam, and I have all my GHL equipment monitoring everything. So hopefully we'll be fine. So yeah, keep your fingers crossed. If I have the time on Sunday, I'll also document us emptying out that big tank. It's going to be very interesting. He has a couple of big tanks. and the tank itself is very large, so one of us has to get into the tank to net them, I think. And I have a feeling that someone might be me. So yeah, it might be entertaining for you guys to watch. I'll try do my best to document as much as possible. Well, alright guys, hope you found this informative. Be safe, happy reefing, and have a good one. Bye!